The biggest reason that Portal 64 was canceled was that I was using LibUltra, which is proprietary software by Nintendo that was leaked as far back as 1999. So if Valve supported my project, then there's a good chance Nintendo could legally go after Valve. They wanted nothing to do with that and were pretty much forced to shut down the project. What if I didn't need to use LibUltra? Could I replace it with something else? And for those who are wondering what LibUltra is, it's kind of like the operating system, an API all rolled into one. It interfaces with the hardware and lets me unlock all of the features of the N64, letting my game do things from gathering user input to producing 3D graphics and sound. So, pretty essential part of the system. LibUltra is then included in every cartridge of every game for the console, and so in order for me to distribute Portal 64, I'd have to be distributing LibUltra, which is owned by Nintendo. So you can see the problem there. There is no way for me to ship Portal 64 without shipping LibUltra, unless I could replace it with something else. Replacing LibUltra would require rewriting all of these code routines and doing a lot of work to interface with the hardware. Such a project would take a lot of effort. Fortunately, there have been some people who've been putting in the effort and have built out a replacement for LibUltra called Libdragon. But before discussing Libdragon, I want to take some time to discuss this video sponsor. Displate. Displate is a great way to bring something from a movie or game you love and bring it into your living space. There are millions of artworks to choose from official brand names like Portal, CSGO, or even Team Fortress. Shipping is fast. It takes about 4 to 5 business days to ship, and all of the plates are made in the EU. Hanging a display is easier than I expected. You simply wipe down the wall, lay down a protective sticker, stick the included magnet to the sticker, and snap the metal poster to the wall. Everything you need comes with your display. There are no tools needed. And once you have the magnet up, it's really easy to adjust the position of the poster or even swap it out with another display. And Display's also launching a new product called Textra. These posters have tactile textures layered over the image to give 3D effects or even different finishes to add another dimension to your posters. If you use the link in the description or my discount code James Lambert, you can get 27% off 1 to 2 designs or 37% off if you order 3 or more. This offer is only available for 1 week, so be sure to jump on this deal if you want some quality metal posters. So thanks again to Displate for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. Libdragon is an open source coding environment that you can use to replace LibUltra, and it already packs a pretty impressive feature list. It has built-in font support, it does 3D graphics, and even does full motion video. The 3D support, however, is still in an experimental state. You can use OpenGL 1.1 in the unstable branch of the project, and it works quite well. You might run into a few bugs here and there, but overall I'm really impressed with how well it works. If you're wanting to get into N64 development, Libdragon's a great place to start, and if you already know OpenGL, even better. The downside of OpenGL is that it's a general graphics interface, and so you don't get to take full advantage of all of the N64 features, and there's going to be a little more overhead to all your draw calls. Fortunately, there are alternative APIs being developed that give you more direct control over the hardware. One of them is Tiny3D. Tiny3D is a pretty simple API, but because it's built specifically for the N64, you can take full advantage of the hardware features it has to offer. One of my favorite demos from the project is this one here. You can see it takes advantage of the full motion video feature of Libdragon, but is using that video as a texture to a 3D model in the scene. Very cool. I don't think I've ever seen this before on N64 before this demo here. So, could Libdragon save Portal 64? Unfortunately, no. When Valve asked me to stop the project, I did ask them, could I continue it if I ported to Libdragon? They said no. They wouldn't have a good way of tracking the project, which the way that I interpreted that is I wasn't distributing the ROM on Steam. There's no way to control that. And so they wouldn't really be able to know where it's being installed on which devices. So if I finished the project, you could run Portal on any device that could run an N64 emulator. And even if I could get permission to switch over to using Libdragon, it would be a pretty difficult fight to get it ported over. Not that Libdragon is difficult to use. I actually find it quite easy to use. It's open source. You can contribute to it if there's issues you want to resolve. Now, the difficult part would be I'd be basically changing the foundation of a game out from underneath it. I'd have to rewrite large portions of the foundations of the game to use a new build system and new graphics engine, and it would be doable, but it would be a lot of work to port it over. Unfortunately, Libdragon can't save the project. But don't think all is lost. I do plan on continuing N64 development, and I'm hoping to do a lot of cool things with that. And I will be using Libdragon moving forward. In fact, my last video about N64 VR was written using Libdragon. It works quite well. It originally was built for 2D only. It was only recently that 3D support was added. And so the 3D interface hasn't really been polished up yet. There's still some issues. If you want to use OpenGL, you don't get all the features, or they do have a few extensions they've added that they're a little hacky. The greatest thing about Libdragon is how easy it is to debug issues. It has this really nice dedicated crash screen, so whenever there's a crash, the game displays the source code lines where the crash happened to make it much easier to track down these issues. It also checks to make sure you're not doing something stupid that would lead to a crash later on. The engine that I used to make N64 VR that I'm building on top of Libdragon, I am now using to build my own original game. A game that I'll be able to sell cartridges for when I finish. So if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe to follow progress. The core concept of the game is that you are a wizard. You learn various runes, and these runes can be combined together to create interesting spells. Everything from fireball to even jumping or flying are all done by combining spell symbols in the right way to get the right result. And what motivated this game is every time I try to play a magic class in any game, it kind of felt like empty. Because, you know, it's like, oh, you can only have these pre-existing spells that just exist in the world. But whenever you see wizards, they always have books and they're studying. And I always thought, well, aren't they studying magic? Can't they make up their own spells? And I want to try to capture that experience. And so far, it's pretty promising. I do have the basic magic engine kind of working. I really can't say when this is going to be done. I might have bit off more than I can chew, but I feel pretty confident I'll be able to get something interesting done. I'm working with Pyrozone on this one. He did the art for N64 VR. I am blown away by how good he is at low poly art, and so I'm really excited to see where this project goes. And I wanted to also mention that I was at PAX East back in March, and I actually met some viewers, and it was really cool to meet some of you, and really thank you all for your support. I also saw some interesting games that I wanted to promote, which is something I want to start doing on this channel. I feel like there are lots of small games that just don't get the attention they deserve, and hopefully I can help out some of these titles. The one I want to highlight in this video is called Let's Revolution. It's a puzzle game that's mechanics most resemble something like Minesweeper, but they've really taken an interesting direction and added a lot of depth. You play using one of 6 unique play styles. Your objective is to uncover the king on each board, but be careful, his loyal followers will do their best to stop you. Each character offers a unique style of gameplay. You range from a character that tries to clear everything and is just wrecking everything, to characters that are more delicate and hopping around trying to avoid being seen. They aren't paying me to cover this game, I just found the game interesting and thought it deserved a little more attention. If there are any other indie games that you'd like me to cover that you think deserve a little more attention, I'd like to hear about it. Post in the comments. Maybe I'll cover it next video. That's all for this video. Thanks again for Displate for sponsoring it, and until next time, take care.